Hey.
Welcome to the 8 in the Box podcast. It is, what day is it? It is Wednesday, February 9th, but all that matters is that it's Super Bowl week. That's it. And we are here to talk football in addition to a couple other things that we talk about right here on this show, brought to you by Cash Considerations. My name is Dave Sharapan, the Sportsbook Consigliere. You guys, thank you for watching. If you haven't noticed, I'm on location out here in LA for the Super Bowl. I'm all caught up in it. I got the starter jacket, the Super Bowl jacket, the LA thing, the Joe Burrow glasses. I'm here, but I'm not alone. I'm not the quarterback of the show. My quarterback is back home in West Virginia doing his thing, making sure that the show is going to at least stay on the tracks while we can see him, while we can hear him. His name's Brad Howe. He's Brad Howe 07 on the Twitter. B-Howe, good morning. How do you say it? Go ahead, you say it.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, because we don't know when people are listening to the show. So it's good to see you in LA, Super Bowl. You got all the gear. Yeah, all the gear.
Oh,
Those merchandise guys, when they saw you walk in, they knew right away. They just said, "Here, just give me the card. Just give me the card. We'll run a tab all week, settle up on Friday."
I came into the thing with this hat on, the script old Los Angeles, for those of you that aren't watching, and you should be watching on the Cash Considerations Podcast YouTube channel. But if you're not watching, they were like, dude, where'd you get that hat? There was a wall of hats. They wanted to know where I got my hat. I was like, guys, come on. I mean, it's great though. It's nuts. We're through day 2 of actual media week. I've met a ton of people. I've had a lot of fun. I've done a lot of shows, and all I'm talking about is 8 in the box. So hopefully we'll get to find some, you know, good bets, bad bets, prop bets. If you haven't paid any attention, by the way, the NBA is 28-1 straight up, 27-2 in the last 4 days to the favorites. I mean, it's a chalk eater's paradise. My friend Rex Byers said, I know if you've been betting NBA, B-How, you've been doing good. Before
Well,
we get started,
hold. Before we get started, is this? Can you not send a bat signal out? I mean, there's favorites winning every night in some league, and you know, I need to know that. That's right up my alley.
I,
That's perfect for me.
how do you not know this? I mean,
Well, it's Super Bowl week. I mean, I'm busy. I'm down
this
in
is
the
the
weeds
problem.
on Joe Burrow interception props.
This
I
is the
can't be
problem.
worried about the Timberwolves.
I got to take these glasses because I know you get distracted. Listen, making sure that the show stays on the tracks and stays up is our producer, Dan Alexander. He's at Newbie Talks on the Twitter. That's NEUBY Talks. Newbie, what does Super Bowl week mean for you as far as like the Eagles aren't in it? And I'm sure we're going to get to this at the end because I think we're going to call it the newbie foodie segment. But what is possibly on the menu for you for Super Bowl?
Oh, I mean, you know that Super Bowl means we're eating. That's the main thing that it means. And a couple takeaways too. You mentioned staying on the rails. Well, Dave, this show would require rails for us to stay on them
Great
for
point.
what it's worth. And also, I love
Great
it when we
point.
call B-Howe the quarterback because B-Howe is just like Joe Burrow. He don't need no offensive line. If he has one wide receiver, that's all he needs. Let him get outside the pocket and make some magic happen. And that's what we're doing this week, brother.
That's exactly right. That just summed it all up. That's why he is, he's the producer here, but he's all over the place as well. He's doing the lacrosse thing, bet on lacrosse. He's with me on Cash Considerations with Carl, and you should 100% be following him. You could be his 1,000th follower very soon. It's going to pop very soon. So you don't win anything for that. You may not even get a tweet for that, but it's okay. You should do it anyway. B-Howe, what have you been looking at since we did game within the game on Monday? Because we unearthed a lot of things on Monday. We were just scratching the surface. What in the world are you looking at after 2 days of favorites winning in the NBA? And by the way, the Devils game went over the first period again.
It did. And a goal in the first 10 again. Although it did miss the other night. We'll talk about that here at the end because it did. Yeah. The streak is over. It got up to 18 in a row. That streak ended, but it's still rolling. So when the Devils play, look first period over, look goal in the first 10. We'll talk about that. Before I dive into, because here's what I want to do. I want to take an overview of the game from the side and the total, even though it hasn't moved much. But I want to look from you on where we're going as we start to get into the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday heavy money starting to come in from the public. Then we'll get into some props. But before we do, give us a little lay of the land vibe while you're out there in LA, you're moving around. What's the general feel? Is it more Rams? Is it more Bengals on a magic mission here? What are you feeling early in the week from out there?
I'm feeling this. I wish I had a book inside the media center to take all the bets of all the experts that are walking around doing these shows, because they're all on the Bengals, the Bengals,
Ooh.
the Bengals, the Bengals, Cincinnati. Everybody's having fun saying it and everybody's on it, which is not surprising. It's just the amount of people that are buzzing with it. Yet there's not, other than the pictures that the NFL has provided, there's not a single picture or anything of any Cincinnati, anyone. I mean, even Joe Burrow, as cool as he is. I get a feel like the props are going to overshadow everything with this game. Like the side and the total is not even close to being the story. It's the props. I mean, the FanDuel set is right in the middle of, I mean, it dominates everything. And McAfee and the boys got there yesterday, and we got all kind of big bro hugs, and they were doing the show in the morning. They dominated the room, like, because they brought everybody. So they're doing their own cheering, they're doing their own noise, and it was crazy. But we're in LA, and everyone outside of that media center is nothing but Rams. I mean, the parking lot attendants, the people standing along the side, all of the flags and everything. And Newbie knows this, like when Philly's in it, the whole city takes over. Well, they did that in LA, which is kind of weird because I'm still not sure that people are like real fans, but B-Howe, I'm telling you, the buzz is the Cooper Cup props.
Yeah,
Is
well,
right? Is the this Cam Akers is, I mean, he might as well just chalk it up already. It's already done. He's gonna go over. That's easy. It feels like a lot of people like the over too. I can tell you that. I mean, if all these props cash, the final score might be 65-61. And it's just because everybody's going to get a touchdown. Everybody's going to go over the yards. And it's just like, I mean, if this game is like Denver beating Carolina 24-10, or it really goes off the rails and is Seattle beating Denver 43-8 in past Super Bowls, man, books are going to get all this NBA money back and then some.
Interesting you say that. And you know me, and we're going to talk about this because I was doing my spread. I have to get a spreadsheet out here because I need this game to kick off maybe in the next couple of hours, or I'm going to be up to about 57 prop bets here. Can we play the darn game here? Because I'm running out. My bankroll's gone. I'm blowing it all on the Super Bowl. I'm on about 9 different Cooper Cup props. I think if there's a Cooper prop, just go ahead and make up new Cooper Cup props. I'll probably take those as well. I'm all over a lot of them.
Did you see he's minus 180?
So you're going to give me even money on Cooper Cup anytime touchdown, Dave. I'm hopping all over that to add to my portfolio of Cooper Cup investments that we have going during this game. We'll get into this. You said something interesting there on the over, that people are talking about the over, and I get it because when you're in there playing those props and you see first touchdown score and you see Cooper Cup anytime, but Jamar Chase is probably going to get one. Is Cam Akers going to? I get how you get to that point. We're at 48.5 on the total. You originally liked the under way back a week and a half ago on Game Within the Game when we first talked about this. Where do you stand now? You're hearing the over buzz. Here comes the public. We're getting close to the game. Are we moving off 48.5? Are we going to see 49 or 50? Or is this the top of the market?
No, I think it's going to come back. I do, unless the books decide to just take a stand that they like the under 2. And it's not going to move because they maybe got that, what I like to call the bat signal early on here, right? Like you take those under bets early and you go, we can go get that under bet anytime we need it. We don't really need it. So let's sit and wait. 48.5 ticks up 49. That'll be, it's not going to go below 48. So I don't think you have to worry about that happening. Like, you're not going to have to go, oh, no, it's getting close to game time. We have no weather issues. Obviously, it's going to be perfect. And I think the injuries, any injury questions, I think mostly guys are going to play. We're worried about the tight end for Cincinnati.
Uzama.
And Higbee as well.
Yeah.
We don't know yet for sure if they're playing, but either way, I still like the under. If you're going to play it, I think you can play under 48.5 and be good with the number. If you want to wait, the most it's going to go up, I believe, is a half a point up to 49. The books know they can go to 50 anytime they want and get that under bet. They got told that the night it opened. So they're not going to go back there. They may go down another one to try to get more over money and really take a position, because the side isn't really going to go anywhere. It's just the number, and it's just going to sit. So we talk about the Super Bowl differently than we do this stuff all season. It's just the line movement isn't there. You don't have to move it.
Okay. So it's on there. So I've just got to take a look. I like the under too. I tend to think this feels as if it's one of those when you get all excited about points and you see the high-powered offense, but you get in a big moment like this and you get coaches, do they go a little more conservative? Do they go conservative early? Should we look at a first half under? Rams are like 7 in a row first half unders. What's it sitting at now? 23.5 for that first half under. Do we take a look at that? First quarter under. I don't know that I can do a 9 first quarter under, but I'm going to look at that as we move throughout the week. My 2 leveraged on under to roll through all of those: game under, first half under, quarter under. Too much under?
That's a lot of under. But
that's a lot of under.
Sometimes under is better than over, and it might be in this situation. 9.5 is such a hard number for the first quarter. I mean, that's the test. I mean, you're going to test your intestinal fortitude if you want to bet that under. I mean, because at least if you're betting that over and you lose, you're like, all right, nothing happened. I mean, there's 1 touchdown or there's 2 field goals, but you just need both. And if 10 is usually the number for the first quarter, the books having it 9.5 really, really tells me don't expect much scoring in the first, and don't expect much scoring in the first half.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way the game kind of breaks down. The total's 48.5. The first half total is 23.5. Do the math. I'm not even that good at math, but I know that ain't half. And I know that ain't even, 24.5 is half of 49. Okay. 23.5. And we're not even shaded yet. We're not even really shaded to the under. It's 23.5 flat pretty much everywhere. Let's take a quick look. Yeah, it's 23.5 everywhere. So I'm telling you, B-Howe, the more I think about it, the more I talk about it, the more I hear, I'm going, this game may end up being a dud. And I don't know how much merch I really want to get, because we may not want to remember this game come Sunday night, let alone Monday. I mean, the MVP is another very much dominated discussion amongst the media, because you can bet it, obviously, but if you bet the quarterbacks, you get the better odds than you do on the money line. And I keep trying to tell people, I go on these things, I'm like, stop betting the defensive guys.
Yeah, it won't happen, right? It's a good narrative. It's a good narrative. And if I'm doing a show, I can make the narrative and it sounds like it's not hitting, right? That was a big thing last year as well. That got some play in it. That's not hitting.
I will never forget when the Steelers were in it and Troy Polamalu was, his hair's flowing. He's making plays. He jumps over the line. He's everywhere on the field. And people kept betting him. And I was in a room and it kept dropping. I'm like, the guy was done. I was like, what are you guys dropping that for? Well, what if he wins? What if he wins? He's not going to win. Well, if he wins, you're fired. And I'm like, okay, all right. So, I mean, and that gave me a little bit, it was like, I could probably get another job pretty quick. Okay, he's not winning. He's not winning. And they kept moving it down. I was like, you guys, he's not winning. What does he have to do? Think about what a defensive player has to do to win that award, let alone what has to happen. Nothing has to happen everywhere else. Yeah. So it's very hard. And then the kickers are the best kickers in the game right now. I mean, we got two really good kickers in this game. Kicker's not winning the MVP. Kicker has never won the MVP. This is Super Bowl 56. Says so right here. Wait, I got it right here. No, that's the patch. It says it on the back of this jacket. It says everything on this jacket, by the way. But kickers aren't winning. Kickers aren't winning the MVP. So stop that nonsense. Is this a field goal game for you? Do you like all these possibilities of field goals? Because the kicking props, I think there's some market, there's some value in that.
All right, let's talk about this. We hit this a little bit on game within the game. Let's bring it up now because you brought it up. I really like this play, which means it's not going to hit, and I must be seeing something wrong. So explain this to me. When I look at Cincinnati over 1.5 field goals made in this game, and I have already made this bet. I have played this. I got it at 115. You can tell me where it currently sits, but Cincinnati over 1.5 made field goals in the game. Make 2 field goals for Evan Money McPherson, and I cash my bet. And here's why I said this, Dave. Here's why this looks off to me. He has made 12 in the last 3 weeks. 12 field goals in the last 3 weeks, 4 per game throughout the playoffs. That's not enough for you? He's made this number in 7 straight and 10 of 11 games. He's on fire with this. Cincinnati has not been going for it. They've gone for it on 4th down one time all postseason. They haven't been good in the red zone, and the Rams are averaging giving up 2 field goals per game. We keep hearing about the Rams defense. Why is this only 1.5? And okay, I get it, because if you put it at 2, then you got to make 3 field goals. Well, that's not going to happen. I get the 1.5. What I don't get is the juice. Did I get a steal here, or am I the sucker? Which am I?
Well, we can't answer that question until Sunday night for sure. But I think sometimes it's a formulaic thing. And when you make these numbers, the first thing you do is pull out last year's numbers every year. So you have what it was. And I mean, in addition to all these ridiculous hats and jackets and things that I have a file cabinet with old Super Bowl packets. And Jess is like, what do you keep this stuff for? I said, because I can't remember all of the numbers of all of these props. So I keep these paper copies of stuff so I can find them and go, oh, kicking prop last year was 1.5 flat. That's where they start. And that's what they did here. And now you go, okay, what is the Cincinnati team total? What is it, 21? It's 21. That means no field goals. All right. So when you do, I mean, because it's 48 is the total, 49. The spread should be higher. It's not, because it's the Super Bowl. 28-21 is 49 points. It's all touchdowns. Well, it ain't going to be all touchdowns. There's going to be a field goal in this game.
Yeah, you would think.
Will there be 2? I don't know. I just went through FanDuel right now. How about this one, B-Howe? Does this one interest you? I mean, it's a favorite. I mean, this is a little, I mean, it's a little chalky, but will Evan McPherson miss a field goal? No, he hasn't missed one yet. You just said it.
12 of 12.
No is minus 340. Yes is plus 240.
Ooh.
Will he miss a field goal? No,
Ooh.
he's not. If he gets an attempt, he's not going to miss a field goal. I mean, that's minus 340, but that's money in the bank. He's not missing a field goal now, is he?
Ooh, I don't know. That one concerns me a little bit more. Well, that one concerns me a little bit more.
Okay,
That's a lot of chalk.
Matt Gay miss a field goal? Is minus 350.
Well, I'm less. Gay's thing is different. He's been very good all year. He's been excellent all year. But that weird ball leaving it short there against Tampa Bay from 47, you don't see that. Is he dinged? Is he hurt? I don't know. I just went, listen, on the over 1.5 for me at that number. Listen, I'm not playing any of these props big. That's not my deal.
Right.
I'm more the recreational bettor here. But I'm playing that one. I mean, you're averaging 4 per game and go back further, and you're still hitting it in 7 straight games. Give me this. I mean, it might not hit, but you're going to give me 2 field goals. Give it to me.
Are you worried that the aggressive nature changes, like for some of these coaches. And this is the concern for me, that Cincinnati has really done well sticking to the game plan and making halftime adjustments better than any team has in recent history. What their second half splits are versus their first half splits is unbelievable, both offensively and defensively. But I just worry that he'll go, all right, we got to go for it. We got to keep going for it. He may not kick multiple field goals. Does that concern you at all before you make a wager like that?
Yeah, and I think the way I would answer that is I can't eliminate all conditions, right? If I could, I just bet everything I had and I'll go live on an island after I win. So I've got to take some risk on this, and the numbers all tell me this is an overplay, including him not going for it. So now in the biggest game of your life, you're going to get more aggressive, or do you have a tendency to get more conservative?
Right.
See, to me, and I think that's why everything's pointing to the unders in the first half, especially for a first-time coach. Let's not lose it. What do coaches always tell you? Yeah. As much time as I've spent in my former life around coaches, almost all of them, and I know the mindset's changing a little bit with the younger guys and the analytics, but so many coaches will tell you it's harder to win the game than it is to let the other team lose it. So that's why it's don't make mistakes. Just keep doing what we're doing and let the other team screw it up, and they're going to make a mistake. That mindset is more prevalent in football than any other sport. The you screw it up and we'll win, not we'll go win the game. So given you've got one of the best kickers, if not the best kicker in football, give me over 2.5, especially if I can get one out of the gate early. I mean, if you can get me one early when he's more apt to take points than late, or if they fall behind. Now, if this gets 17-0 early, then I'm screwed, and then I've got problems on that. That's the one game script. If the Rams start to run away, especially early, I might be in trouble. But okay, I mean, again, I can't take everything away. Give me this one. I like this one a lot, actually.
That's actually really good. As you start to even make bets, you kind of have to. I think it's a better bet when there are less scenarios that can beat you. And that's really the only scenario that can beat you with that field goal prop, is that the Rams blow them out. And the Rams' likelihood of blowing them out early, especially, and getting away from them, where they're like, yeah, we're not going to kick field goals anymore. It won't matter. We're down 17. We're not. I mean, the only way they're not kicking field goals is if they're down 20 or more. They're going to. So.
And then stop right there real quick. And then even then, let's real quick, and then we'll move on to something else. We're not going to spend this whole show on Evan McPherson. Right. But even if it gets to be a couple touchdowns early and the Bengals aren't scoring and then get into field goal range, is the mindset going to be, hey, listen, let's get some points on the board here. We need something good to happen. Get me some points on the board rather than go for it again. And now you're really getting crushed and run out of the gym in the mid-second quarter. So I think there's even a way in a blowout early to pick up a field goal just to try and build some momentum. Now we're at 1. So I think it makes a lot of sense a lot of different ways. I may lose. We may come back next week and go, well, there it was. They got me. They got me. But I'm going to ride that one. Give me that one.
I agree. I think that's probably a pretty good bet. Newbie, you had a question about the unders. You're sitting there thinking, what do you got on your mind right now?
Just hearing you guys talk and things that I've heard all week and leading up is, this kind of feeling that, well, the conservative play is going to be leading to unders. And if it does, it's going to lead to them early. But the concern I have about that, and I want to pick both of your guys' brains on, is Sean McVay already tried the let's be conservative in the Super Bowl thing, right? And we ended up with one of the most horrible Super Bowls in my recent memory of them versus the Patriots. And he kind of was mocked afterwards. Oh, is this really the boy genius we were talking about? So is there any concern for you about what happened with the Rams in the last Super Bowl shot that they had, that Sean McVay is going to take the training wheels off and maybe take some more shots and say, hey, at the end of the day, I'll be able to outcoach Taylor? That's my concern for the unders. Though I've been trying to attack this game the same way with some of those kicker props and some of those early unders, the second half higher scoring, the one that the Sharps play every single year. I'm just worried about McVay trying to exercise his own demons early. And that's one thing that has me worried about the under. Brad, what do you think about that?
So good question. I think, and this is pure speculation because it's not like I have insight into Sean McVay, but let's take what I do know, what I just said about coaches don't want to lose the game. What's the criticism coming on McVay? If he comes out as the favorite and gets ultra aggressive, goes for it on fourth downs in weird spots or just in general, and it's stopped, and you get beat by an underdog Cincinnati that by all rights probably shouldn't even be in this game, he is going to get absolutely filleted. But he's got a great defense, a dominant defensive line, and a quarterback prone to mistakes. To me, he's the more experienced coach in this scenario, right? He's the one that has to look across at Taylor and his guy who he helped mentor and go, I've got the edge here. I've got the experience. You figure out how to do it in your first Super Bowl, because I know what I was feeling in my first Super Bowl having to go against Belichick. That wasn't easy. To me, this just screams conservatism, because I don't want to screw it up on the biggest stage and catch more heat than if I let my defense try and win it and limit Matt Stafford mistakes. I guess that's how I look at it.
I think you're right. As far as that Super Bowl, the spread was 2.5. Okay. Patriots favored by 2.5. The total in that game was 57.
Wow. No way. It was 57.5.
The total in that game was 57.5. Okay.
Hello.
I remember the debate when we opened that line was we had a guy screaming in the room. His name is TK. He was screaming because I said Rams should be favored. I remember we were the NFC Championship was ending, and they're like, "What's the line?" And I said, "Pick or Rams -1," and that seemed to be the consensus. And he kept screaming in the corner, "It's Tom Brady! Are you nuts?" And we're like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "They're gonna bet the Patriots." And he called us every name in the book, and he's like, "It's the Patriots. It's Tom Brady. Stop making them the dog." And I'm like, I mean, just let him bet him. Let him bet him. What do you mean? And we had a debate. We opened at Rams -1. They immediately bet exactly what he said. He stood up, screamed at everybody, and said, "I'm going to lunch. Come on." And he stormed off. But we had the total 57.5. There was supposed to be a ton of scoring in that game. There was no scoring in that game. I was doing the in-game. That was my first. Here, Dave, you do the in-game by yourself. I did the in-game for that. After the first 2 drives, I said, I don't think anybody's scoring today. And I moved the total 10 points. It was 57.5 to close. I said immediately 47.5. They bet over. Nothing happened again. I was like, wow, guys, I don't think anybody's scoring. Everybody's eating pizza. Everybody, the executives are all there watching the game. Boy, this game sucks. I'm like, I'm moving the line. I'm sweating. They're betting. And I'm like, nobody's scoring, guys. Nobody's scoring. Nobody's listening to me. And I'm watching the game going, this is a dud, or they're playing hell of a defense right now. And then I'll never forget the sweat of that game became, if the no touchdown scored prop would have cashed, because the odds of no touchdown being scored in the game, we might have had to close. We would have all been fired. We would have lost at least $7 million because the people bet that, and we never moved the line. That stayed 150 to 1. People took shots for 120. How could not a touchdown be scored in the Super Bowl? I mean, it can't happen. We made the odds and just left all the bets. And then that number started to cut. Like at halftime, the director, we walked outside. He's like, "How you doing?" I'm like, "I'm good." I said, we need the under." I said, "They're betting over every number that I put, so we're fine." And he goes, "Do you think there's going to be a damn touchdown scored? There has to be a touchdown scored, right?" I'm like, "Man, I don't know." He's like, "You're really good with the totals. There has to be a touchdown scored, right?" I said, yeah, I think that touchdown wasn't scored till the fourth quarter, and you would have thought we all just hit the lottery. It was such a sense of relief. So, not saying the game's going to play out like that, but I'm getting that exact vibe all over again. A low-scoring defensive game.
All right, very good. All right, let me give you a couple more here and we'll move on. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
So let's go opposite of that theory a little bit, and let's
Okay.
talk about quarterback long completion for a second.
Ooh,
And normally, when you and I do game within the game, you know, my favorite prop, we did it for every primetime game, every Monday and every Thursday. We looked for receiver over in long reception.
Yes.
So Cooper Kupp over 27.5 was what it was early. It's moved to 28.5. Give me that. The numbers tell you that's an absolute play that you've got to play
By the
on
way,
that.
speaking of the numbers, I think
Yeah.
my table with Peralt for props in Bostonian versus the book is right next to the Pro Football Focus table.
Oh, go tell him thanks. Go tell him thank you.
I 100% will today.
Please do that.
I have to. They were doing a show yesterday. They overheard me talk and doing another show, and we kind of
Yes.
talked and waved. They were very busy, but I believe it's Pro Football Focus. Just
Can you please tell them that? As much as we have referenced that and we've used that, I may have spent more time on their site than any of those guys at that table that work for them. So please give them my thanks.
I believe it.
All right, now let's use them again. Here, let's go in because I used them for this research. So here's one. And I mean, the Stafford one, if I'm playing over 20.5 Cooper Cup, it probably correlates that Stafford over 38.5 is probably something I want to look at. I'll get to Stafford actually second. So I'm going to go to Burrow. And I'm a little bit concerned here because, again, the whole narrative. Can this Cincinnati offensive line hold the defensive line of LA? But here's the other thing. Does Cincinnati know that they need to give the offensive line some help, or are they going to be surprised when Aaron Donald's running up the middle? I mean, you think those guys, they got some smart offensive coaches. You think they know that Donald and Miller are coming? So it's not like they're going to get out there on the first series and go, holy cow, I don't know what just happened. Their defensive line is really good. How did this happen? So they're going to respond to that. They've gotten themselves under control the last couple games in terms of avoiding the sacks like they did against Tennessee. We're stuck on the Tennessee narrative. All right, all that said, here's some numbers for you on Burrow over 38.5.
Okay.
Is the long reception. Both quarterbacks have the same number. Over 38.5. And I know you say that number and you go, that's a big number, Dave.
It is.
A 40-yard completion I've got to have to cash this bet.
Seems high.
But here's some numbers, courtesy of our friends at Pro Football Focus. In 20 games for Joey Burrow so far,
okay,
he has hit this number over 38.5 on a completion 20 times in 20 games.
Did you say 20?
20, and I'll even give a disclaimer. There may be more, but I can't access that number. So if Jamar Chase has a 50-yarder and a 42-yarder in the same game, I'm only seeing his long. So only taking the longs for all of their receivers, he's 20 times he's hit this number in 20 games.
Okay, so again, I always say I'm not a math expert, but 20 out of 20 is perfect. That's 100%. So now I have a talking point for the rest of at least the day today when I go down to the media center, because I'm going to use this and I'm going to go, what is the juice? So I have to find this right now, B-Howe, while we're talking. Quarterback, longest passing yards. Let me see. Where's it at? Find it for me. Yardage.
I'm seeing it a bunch of different places, varying juice. The lowest I'm seeing currently is minus 115. I'll keep looking and I'll let you know where I'm
that's fine. That's listen.
I mean, see what are we doing?
Minus
right?
115 is outstanding. And I'm thinking it should be minus 150. Immediately in my head, I went, well, they got to juice that. So if you can find below 150 on something that's 20 out of 20, that is great. How doesn't this happen? What stops this?
The only thing that stops it is what we said earlier, that this turns into a Patriots-Rams Super Bowl where there's just not any offense, and that the Rams defensive line does have the effect that a lot of people are calling for, and that you end up showing, you get one that's 27 or 34 and it doesn't get there. But I like our chances. Because here's the other thing too. Aren't they going to force feed the Bengals? Aren't they going to force feed Jamar Chase? They're going to get, and the Rams are going to get it to Cup. I mean, you're not going down by spreading it around get it to your playmakers. And those are the two guys. Chase can catch that wide receiver bubble screen and go for 40, right? We've seen that happen. So to me, that makes some sense. Now I just looked on DraftKings. Stafford's already moved up a yard. He moved to 39.5. They moved the juice to 125 on Burrow here. So it's on the move a little bit. But to me, I know under, and I know I just screamed under to you, and here I am going to go some props that take big plays. But this, again, the numbers tell me I've got to play this.
Well, and quick question, guys, too, with these numbers on the move, some different numbers you're able to see. would you feel comfortable taking 39.5 for Burrow if it meant lower juice? You can get it 39.5 minus 108 on FanDuel. So a point higher, you might lose by a point, lose by a hook, but we're not really looking for a 30-yard pass on this. We're thinking it's going to be a 50-yard bomb and you cover it with these. So would it be worth giving up a point to lay a little bit less juice, or is this a prop that the juice maybe doesn't matter as much?
Real quick, Dave, and then I want you to jump in. Stafford's, that's also, it's minus 110 for 39.5. They have moved that a yard on DraftKings too. For me, Dave, go ahead on the Stafford side of it. The numbers, and I'd have to go back and confirm this. I'll give you Stafford real quick in a minute, but 38.5, 39.5 doesn't make a difference here. I would roll with both.
Makes zero difference to me. 40 is the number. Just because the way they round the ball, the way they set the ball, the way it's judged, there's almost negligible difference between 38.5, 39.5. 39.5 to 40.5, I think that's probably too much. So
here's Stafford. You want Stafford real quick?
Stafford, I do.
Okay, so Stafford, I've got him 17 times, 17 completions of more than 38.5. But again, I'd have to go confirm, but I don't remember any 39s in there. 17 times in 20 games for him with the current roster. He also has one to remember. Deshaun Jackson was on this team before that had 2 early that were deep. So it's right. 19 total times out of 20 games. When you look at him with the season in totality, it's 17 with the current receiving crew.
I never would have guessed that. I was going to guess for Stafford, I was going to guess 15 out of the 20, 75% of the time.
19 of 20. And I'll go further. 19 of 20. Higbee has a 37 and Skowronek has a 35, the 2 tight ends. So it's 19 of 20 with 2 guys that are right up on that. This to me is a number you've got to play here. Cooper Kupp has 9 of those himself.
Oh my goodness.
9 completions of over 30.
I thought I liked the Burrow one. I think I like the Stafford one even more. And again, this goes away from the narrative of the under, which is fine, but there can be long passes and then field goals. These don't mean touchdowns. For anyone listening to the show, don't get confused. These aren't touchdown props. These are just longest pass. It can be anything. And like B-Howe said, it can be an 8-yard, slant. It can be a 2-yard bubble screen that turns into a 45-yard reception. Those are 2 good ones. I liked both of those based on the numbers. And again, I think the only way you get beat with both is you get that game like Rams Patriots. That's it.
And we've said this before on longest reception, Dave. And again, we've had a lot of success on that within the game. That has hit way more than it has not hit for us throughout those primetime games. I feel the same here because we just need one of these. We just need one. We're not doing completions. We're not doing touchdown pass. We just need one pass to go with multiple guys that are available. I mean, here's an example. Now, I hope it doesn't happen in this game because I'm on a lot of unders for Joe Mixon. He seems like he's a little banged up and tired. His back end splits on the second half of the season have not been the same as early. So I'm under his rushing yards. I'm under his combo rushing and receiving. But just to make my point about long reception real quick, Mixon has 3 of these receiving on the season. He's gone for more than 38.5 yards 3 different times.
Wow.
Samaje Perine, who only gets a couple targets a game at max, has done this once. That's the backup running back, Samaje Perine, out of Oklahoma.
Okay.
You know how I know I will never forget him. I saw him come in here one night to West Virginia and run for about 912 yards against WVU.
Oh,
he's a beast.
Perine.
Samaje Perine. So he has one. So their running backs have 4 of these.
Those. Wow.
4 of them.
Wow.
Let's roll. Let's make it a bet. Let's make it a play. Come on. Come on with me. Come on with me.
I'm in.
Let's go.
You sold me. Those are good bets at that juice with the pass history and the amount of weapons. I mean, you just gave me Perine. I'm into Super Bowl. I didn't even know who he was. I remember him at Oklahoma. I just, as you said it, I'm like, oh yeah, Perine. I see the back of his jersey like those guys did in West Virginia that night, most likely.
They did. And Josh Heupel kept throwing the ball. Heupel wouldn't give him the ball. They kept throwing it until Bob Stoops finally said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to run Perine. You sit over there, Josh Heupel. Quit calling passes.
Right.
They can't stop the run. Meanwhile, Heupel
man.
was fired shortly thereafter. All right, one last thing here. Let me give you one thing because we brought up Samaje Perine. Did not think this would be a Samaje Perine podcast, but now it's turned into one. And you
That's
can take
true.
this to my PFF guys when you see him here in a couple of hours. Here's one
Okay.
for you. I haven't played this either, but if you just want some fun, different stuff that nobody's talking about, because nobody's talking about this, I'll give it to you.
I love that.
Samaje Perine over 1.5 receptions. Even money.
You like this?
Well, I don't know. I might like it. Listen, let's talk it out.
Right.
I don't come
Okay.
in here with preconceived notions all the time. I just like to get you're the
No,
pro.
this is
I
good.
just throw it to you. Here we go.
This is nice.
Over 1.5 receptions. So we need 2 catches. We just said Mixon seems to be a little bit dinged and beat down here over the back half of the season. We've seen Samaje Perine be the third down back here in the last few weeks. Okay. I like 2 of those conditions. I like, again, if the Rams are going to bring some heat, what's one of the ways to avoid heat? You got to get it out quick. So I'm going to throw it quick to Chase, or I'm going to throw a quick dump to Mixon and or Perine. Okay. Here's more on Perine. Had 6 targets in the last 2 games, 2 against Tennessee, 4 against Kansas City. 6 total targets in 2 games. Okay. I mean, it was small margin here. We're not dealing with big numbers, but small margin. 3 receptions versus Kansas City, had 1 versus Tennessee. So 1 over the number, 1 under the number. Okay.
Okay.
How about this? From PFF. Thanks, boys. When the Bengals are under pressure and facing zone coverage, which they will in this game, Perine has a high target share. He has what they call a threat rate. How big of a threat is he against those particular
Did you
things?
say threat rate?
New one. PFF, they keep giving us new terms. Threat
Damn,
rate is this
can't
week's.
keep up with all these damn terms. My goodness. But okay, so this is how
How big of a
those
threat?
numbers
Basically, easy terms. How big of a threat is this particular player
to score
in this situation?
or
No,
in
no,
the game?
just in the game.
Just in the game. Okay.
In the game, how much is he used? Kind of a usage type rate.
Okay.
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 So here's what this one is. When Burrow's under pressure and facing zone, which he's going to get, he's going to get zone and he's going to get pressure.
Yep.
Perine has a 14.5% threat rate. Okay, fine. What does that mean? Put it in context. Here's your context. That's higher than every receiver on the Bengals roster in those conditions. Ooh, got your attention.
Yes, you did.
Got your attention. He does
he
not
see
get
the field a lot.
No, he does not. And again, he's playing a little more on third down. They've been using him more on third down. You're just, I mean, there's not a lot of opportunities here. This number is probably a pretty good number, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
but it's just one to think about if you want a different one.
We had that running back. Who was it? The game with was it game within the game, or was it on here where you gave me something and we talked it out, and then boom.
Yeah, that was McIntosh. That was McIntosh in the national championship
in
game.
The national championship game.
Yeah, no one was on it. We found it. Yep. Receiving yards over 11.5. Yep.
So
because he had run double. And the reason we did that, same kind of theory. He had double the pass routes run against Alabama than any other team on the year. In their first meeting, I figured they'd go back to him. Boom, it worked. Right.
Okay, so I'm looking at this on FanDuel. I just found this. Most receptions, Perine versus Michelle. I mean, he's going to catch more passes than Sony Michel, is he not?
I think. Okay, here's some more numbers. Now we're on Perine. Let's look. There's only 2 games this season when he has 0 receptions. Every other game, he has at least 1.
Okay.
He's gone over 1.5 in 9 of 20.
Okay.
9 of 20, but his floor for the most part has been 1. I don't have time to do the median. I should do the median for you. I think, yeah. I mean, his targets.
That's fine. So, in the price again, over 1.5 is what?
Even money on DraftKings. At least it was. I haven't checked it this morning.
That's good. His reception prop to have more receptions than Sony Michel is -180. You have to lay 180 with Perine over Michel.
I don't want that.
Well, I definitely want that because Michel doesn't catch any passes, does he? I mean, he doesn't catch passes. He doesn't. This is what Perine does. So in these situations, like for the props, this is just kind of getting back to being general. But when you can get a good price or a moderate price for someone to do what they normally do, versus asking them to do something different and taking a nice plus price or a small minus price. I've seen these guys for years. They want to bet what happens more often than not. Like if you don't have to get off the script to cash the ticket, that's what these professional guys that I've watched for years and taken their bets, that's what they like to bet most. So I'm thinking this P Ryan thing, we're really onto something. I'm going to have to walk around. I so hope those Pro Football Focus guys are there.
Oh, please go thank them. Here, real quick on Sonny Michel. He and P Ryan have the exact same number of catches over the last 2 games. So in the postseason, each have 3 in 2 games. P Ryan has 2 more targets than Michel has. He has 4. You just wonder though. I mean, see what would make me nervous about that, Dave, is Cam Akers still dinged? Is he still dinged with the shoulder? How's the Achilles? I'm against the trend. You said everybody's talking Cam Akers over. I'm actually on his under 62.5 because he hasn't been close. He has not been close. He's averaging 2.5 yards a carry. This is newbie, hit the music. This is a show me on Cam Akers. I may be dead wrong, but show me you're going to go over because he's not been close. Show me what you got. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. The show. I love
Please,
it.
Place it. There you go. There you go.
So,
P Ryan, by the way, P Ryan on DraftKings, we're actually getting a better price, which you would tell me I'm going against the move there. Plus 105. Plus 105 if you want over 1.5 for P Ryan. I might take a little nibble on that.
wow.
Might have talked myself into it.
I think so. That's really good.
Okay, there you go. There's my stuff.
That's it.
There's my stuff. I know you've got every show to do in the United States starting here in about a few minutes, so I don't want to hold you up. I'd give you a plug for all your shows, but we'd be here another hour and a half. So
I have a morning commute now, and it's LA traffic, which, by the way, the problem with LA traffic isn't the drivers. It isn't the people, even the amount of people. It's the roads. These things haven't changed in 50 years. It's a 2-lane highway to a city that there's 15 million people that live there. 2 lanes. I mean, there's 2 lanes. It's the 110 freeway. I got to drive. It took me 12 minutes to get home last night. It may take me an hour to get there today because of the time and the fact that it's 2 lanes and there's 15 million people that live the other way. But they're going, and I was down there last night. And it was Laker night, which, by the way, the Lakers, I have no idea what they're doing. We talk about it on Cash Considerations, hashtag anybody but the Nets and the Lakers. Since we started that hashtag, the Nets haven't won a game. I think they're on a 9-game losing streak. They're a total disaster. And the Lakers last night look like they're done. I got off on a basketball tangent. Newbie, the question for you is Sunday. You're going to have a menu of props. You're going to have a whole bunch of stuff because you are building a portfolio just like B-Howe. I know you're going to cook. I want to know what you're thinking as far as the cooking, but I want to know what you feel most confident about your best single prop. If you had one dish that you could serve to the people for Super Bowl Sunday, what is your favorite one? As of right now, it's only Wednesday, and people will have to follow you, and maybe we'll tweet it out and stuff. But what do you like the most?
As far as the food goes, the buffalo chicken is obviously the prop, the staple to put up. As far as the game goes, and this is one that you guys kind of touched on a little bit, just talking about game script and everything, but talking about a defensive player potentially winning an MVP. What would have to happen for that to happen? There would have to be a bunch of sacks, right? Well, guess what? There's a team that gives up a lot of sacks in this game.
Oh no. Nobody's going to do it. Oh no.
I'm taking a gamble at a little bit of money prop. I'm not taking the defensive MVP. I am taking for the game, both teams combined, over 5.5 total sacks. I haven't really heard this anywhere else, which makes me feel good about it because I hate it when I'm with everybody else. So I just think The Bengals could give up 6 sacks alone and still win this game. So if I had to pick a prop that's my favorite bet, that's the one. If I have to pick my favorite bet for the Super Bowl, I tweeted it out. It's the teaser, Bengals plus 10.5 over 42.5. That's my favorite bet for the Super Bowl.
There you go. I like that. B-Howe, I'll ask you the same question on the way out. And I know you've already got a complete slew of bets and you're going to continue to get them. But do you have a favorite thing as of right now that you either have already bet or are looking to bet?
You can't ask me that because you're right. I've got so many. I need to pull the spreadsheet up. I made bets so long, I don't even know what the heck I've bet on. I'll just give you 2. I do like that Cincinnati over 1.5 field goals. And then the one we didn't talk about, we spent some time on game within the game earlier in the week. If you want to go back and listen, you referenced our guy, Pat McAfee, a West Virginia guy. Know Pat well, met him the first week he was here in Morgantown. Pat and I hung out and spoke. So love the guy, love what he's done with his career. He gave the final piece of advice on, will there be a touchback, yes or no? The no is the way to play this. It is hit in 26 of the last 28 Super Bowls. No on an opening kickoff touchback. It's plus money to get the no. McAfee last year made the point as a guy who has kicked off in a Super Bowl. It's a different kind of ball. It's like kicking a rock, were his exact words. They bring it in. You can't break it in. You don't do anything with it pregame. You put it on the tee. You kick it. The thing gets shipped to the Hall of Fame. No on opening kickoff touchback. You can still get plus money on that play.
I like it. There's going to be so many. And again, don't get stuffed. Like, don't overeat on Super Bowl Sunday. I've been telling everybody, you want a piece of advice for the Super Bowl? What do you want to bet? Just bet on Saturday. Don't wait until Sunday when an app crashes, or if you're going to a book, you can't get in line long enough, or you have to wait in line. Put all your bets in Saturday. Nothing is going to happen Saturday that is going to affect Sunday. Nothing. Although in one Super Bowl, it did. The guy stayed out too late and Atlanta got crushed. That did happen on Saturday night. You wouldn't think it. I don't think it does anymore, but that did happen.
It did happen.
Yeah. But the sacks prop I love too as well. I'm surprised at that number. That number is always standard 4.5 or 5. So newbie saying it was 5.5. It's a little high. That's a lot of sacks, but the way Cincinnati gives them up and the way the Rams get them, it's very likely. But for me, when we've talked about this many times on the show, it's the interception prop. I think both guys throw a pick. I do.
I'm with you.
And the prices are right. So my favorite one is that Stafford's going to throw a pick, that Joe B is going to throw a pick. As far as the side and total, I'm telling you right now, I don't know if I'm caught up in it because I'm here or what. I've been on Joe B in the Bengals every single week of this ride through the postseason and playoffs. But I think the Rams win this football game. Rams money line is the bet for me sidewise. I'm sticking with the under for now. I feel stronger about the side. Like, I just feel like the Rams are going to win. The more I listen, the more I talk to, it feels like the AFC team is showing up, and it's a great story, and the Cinderella slipper gets broken. Now, for content wise and stuff, I don't even know, when I'm going to put my bets in. These people are talking about taking me to the game. I might end up at the Super Bowl. I might end up at the Super Bowl. So I'm going to let you guys know if we get a box or something, or I get in a box, you might have to get on a flight and go to the Super Bowl if you want. We got 8 in the box. I'm going to be in a box for the Super Bowl. I got to bring the boys from 8 in the box to the Super Bowl. So just keep that in mind. That's going to do it for the show. For the boys, as always, at Newbie Talks, Dan Alexander, for Brad Howe at Brad Howe 07, and myself, Dave Sharapan, the Sportsbook Consigliere at Sports BK Consig on the Twitter. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This has been 8 in a Box, brought to you by Cash Considerations. We are out. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Don't overeat. And we'll see you guys for the recap next week.